Well, here's another quickie to show you the infrared sensor on Leon. This is where we have the smoke gear boss that I've modified with the threaded insert and the gear with the ball bearings and the stripes and the infrared sensor, and we're getting chuff signal back to the sound system and out the speaker, chuffing pretty fast, but no load. You got to remember that. But this is the magnetic DC fields, the infrared sensor, the microcomputer sound system, amplifier, speaker, digital reverse, and power distribution panels and stuff. Now, what I've just completed was a rework of the gear that is normally used for the royal blue, or what I call the reverse in boiler chassis, which are all, I mean, here's one, here is a reverse in boiler Atlantic, right? So Atlantics had them, Royal Blues, Pacifics all had them, and I have a few of them, and they're always problematic because you can't really get much out of them. But I have been able to bring a gear, move the motor back. You notice this extra spacing right here. You move the motor back, there's room for a tiny thin worm gear, and then another gear rides on top, and then I can put my sensor in here that will give me the chuff trigger. What we started out with, or what I started out with, was a very wide gear. And so I went to 4, and that was too many, and then I went to 2, and then here's another version of 2. I originally had 2 metal pads that would touch on fingers that were like from the motor reverse. And those fingers were used as contacts, but we found there was a little bit of bouncing. So this time what I'm going to do is put 2 stripes on with the infrared sensor. But my problem was I started to get too wide. By the time I put the sensor on, I'm sticking it way out. So I've tried to come up with a method. Here you can see how far it would stick out. Oh, it lands in my lap. Everything falls off. It's running. It's still alive. It's going to eat the table. Hold on. Oh. Oh, my brain. There we go. I'm back. Nothing happened, right? Where was I? Anyway, this gear is thinner, so that's going to let me bring these upper parts in. I can actually cut all this away now. I had a pen. Here's a good marker. I can literally cut this off like here and down like that, and trim this off. I don't even need this front. Well, I guess I got to bring it over, right? But I can cut this up so it's not quite like all that, but I can cut it up. Get it off of this bar here, give it a little more room, or I can come across the top up here maybe. Might be better. All right. Anyway, we're going to figure this out and make it slimmer and smaller and easier to fit together. And then the sensor, it fell on the floor too, but I thought I picked it up. Oh, here it is. Threw it over here. What I've just done is I've eliminated these standoffs here, so this can fit flush like that. So that gets it, you know, nice and tight in there. It'll be down here, but up here, you see. Then what I have to do is remove the sensors and shorten their pins, and then put them back in, and so that this is flush, but the sensors aren't really running into the gear. So I got to move them in about 5 millimeters or so. And then I got to put 2 stripes on that gear, and then I can test that system. I've got 10 more of these sensors coming on Monday, so I'll be able to do all my engines now with the infrared. And I'm gearing up to make a pretty good sized build, maybe 5 to 10 engines of all the parts, getting them ready. So it'll, you know, with the sounds and everything, I've got all the bits coming. So that'll be pretty exciting. See what happens. This thing walks tiniest bit, and it walked right off the table. But it's funny though, because it stayed connected, so because like in my lap it was running. They go, oh my god. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on now, is the very basic sensor input. Get that nailed for both of these engines, and this would be all of these chassis that are steam and boiler that never had anything ever will now get that, and smoke. And the in the Atlantic too, by golly. We're gonna set this baby up and get him going. He'll have it like this. You see? Okay. And then these guys are with the gear, like this one. I can put that threaded boss in there right here, and then put that gear in there. That gear is so cool. It's got 2 ball bearings. It's just smooth. Okay, so we're getting this figured out. Then I can feed that trigger into the board, sensor board, and I'm working still pretty close on getting the sounds respectable, I'll put it that way, and reliable. And then we'll be able to start tightening this up and building tenders. And I still need to, right? I still need to come up with a royal blue tender, extended range something. And I also want to do one for the Atlantic, because I'm going to need the room for one thing. But oh, the sensor popped out. That's all. I wonder why it quieted down. So I want to get that. Maybe one slightly smaller for the Atlantic and one slightly bigger for the royal blue. I didn't want to just copy the royal blue tender. I mean, it's kind of simple, really. I have this chassis. I can do that. I can copy it. But I also wanted to use this concept and build up a Vanderbilt. You know? I love the Vanderbilts, and I don't really have one. I had one, but I can't get the file and can't build anymore. So I have to build my own, I guess, and see how that goes. And I got the trucks. If I do an extended version of this, I've got my 6-wheel trucks. You know, they're built ready to go, so I can print those out. And they're not going to be red, by the way. I'm just using red because I made the mistake and bought a bunch of it cheap, and now I got to use it. But I can print in black and other colors too, okay? So anyway, I just thought I'd give you an update on that gear. The gear came together and just went so nice. So now what I'm doing is I'm printing a new gear and a new housing, both at the same time. Isn't that kind of fun? So this would be how I print the kit. I just say Puff and Chuff Royal Blue, or Puff and Chuff Smoke and Boiler, boom, and I could print the parts, have them combined. The printer is good. It's not the fastest, but it's pretty fast. But when you're going to do a lot, you know, people want me to build trucks. You know, I just can't build trucks, you know, order 2 and get them to you the next day. It just doesn't happen. So if you guys are interested in building your own stuff, if you have a 3D printer and you want to build something that I have, let me know. I mean, for not much, I could send you all the instructions, the files. You know what I mean? I want this to expand, and I don't want to cause any reason for it to contract. And I'm not a manufacturing shop. You know, I'm just an old man in the basement making trains. So hang in there. We're getting it, and we're gonna have some fun. I want to have 4 or 5 engines sitting like this on rolling roads doing their thing. That'll be fun, huh? Okay, later gang.